So it started a long time ago. Whenever I'd go camping, you could find these little branches of quakies that were pretty easy to carve. And I could just get my Swiss Army knife and start carving these little bears that the boys could use for a neckerchief slide and things like that. So, you know, I can carve these little things. Why couldn't I carve like a big piece of wood? So we had a piece of property that we kind of bought when we were newly married, and really couldn't afford to pull a drive into it or anything. And so it just kind of sat there for years, and finally we were able to afford to pull a drive down into it. And one year we went up early to kind of check on things, and a giant quakey had fallen across the entryway into the property, and so we couldn't get in. So we decided we would need to bring a chainsaw the next time we came up. I'm going to kill this thing.
You won't kill it.
Well, I think we have to go in.
Is it getting too dark for you?
Don't you think so? Don't you think so, Davy?
Okay.
And we came up and got the chainsaw and cut the tree so that we could drive onto the property. But there, right in front of my eyes, was a huge thing of quaky wood, a huge log that I could just take and maybe carve some bears on. So I don't know if it's a form of faith that causes you to create. You have to have a belief that maybe you can do something, or enough confidence in yourself that you feel like you can finish the project that you want to start. Or is it just an amazing amount of determination to want to create something? I'm not sure what it is, but I think it's something that every artist has, is that spark of idea that you get, and it causes you to say, hey, maybe I could carve a big giant log. There was well, I happened to put the log in my front yard, and so everybody walking by could stop, talk to me, and see the progress on the tree stump, and see what was happening. One 3-year-old and his mother stopped by, and the mom was like, "Look at this nice carving." And the little boy says, "It's a stick." So I don't know what causes you to think that you can take a stick and turn it into a bunch of bears. So because I placed this log in my front yard and worked on it, and from time to time, I got a lot of questions from people that were walking by in our neighborhood. And I had a lot of questions going on in my mind, like, hey, you're a watercolor artist. Why are you spending your time carving this wood log? Something I had to think about. Or other people would ask me, have you carved before? how long is this going to take you? Are you just going to keep it in your front yard the whole time? These were all questions that I got as I carved in my front yard. So, hey, the questions can cause doubts in your own mind. Can I really carve these bears? Everybody that's walking by, are they going to see an end product? Or one day, are they just going to come by and there'll be a little black stubble of burnt wood in the front yard? So, what keeps you working at your task, and what gives you the faith that you think, well, I'm going to go ahead and just finish this and see what happens? A lot of my watercolor students, I tell them that with their watercolor paintings. I say, just finish it, because there's a lot of things you can learn from just finishing a painting. And sometimes when you think the painting isn't going to turn out, it turns out all right, better than you thought it was going to turn. I have a friend who likes to keep me on task, and her question was, you haven't been working on your log lately? And I said, it's been raining lately, so I've kept it covered. But a question I have is, why did you want to carve this piece of wood? Why did you take time from your watercolor painting to carve on a piece of wood? Well, I think that one thing is that it's a nice break. It gives you something to do, a change of scenery, a change of task, creative ability, to see how, if you can do it in the first place, and just give it a try. And it takes you away from concentrating on doing things with paint and brushes, and you get to work with a carving tool and a big hunk of wood. So kind of fun to switch things up a little and to try something a little bigger. So carving on this wood was a good way to break up my day. And in order to finish a huge task, you need to break it down into little tiny pieces that you can kind of chew on, that will fit into your day. And so I decided, when it wasn't raining, I would work for 1 hour in the morning on carving my wood bears. The reason why I did it in the morning was because it was shady in that front yard, and I could work on it when my mind was fresh, and I didn't want to work on it for longer than an hour, because if I got tired at all, maybe I would get a little careless with my saw and maybe chop off something that I didn't want to chop off. And when you're carving with wood, if it's chopped off, it's gone, and there's no way to bring it back. It's kind of like saving the whites in watercolor. Drawing is a little like carving. You kind of use your pencil, and your pencil searches the area, the shapes you want to draw, and you just continue working with that pencil, kind of measuring from side to side and seeing the negative shapes, and just kind of work at something a little bit at a time. Carving out the drawing on the piece of white paper. It's very similar to carving on the wood. You can use a lot of tools when you're carving on the wood. Sometimes it's nice just to use a chisel and a hammer. It's a little quieter, and it changes the kind of the feeling of working on the wood. So, same way you chip away at the wood, you slowly chip away at your drawing and work on it, and slowly figure out and see what you have. So I had my original design for what I wanted these bears on this log to look like, but at the first carving was with the chainsaw, and I got a little carried away, and so because of that, I had to adjust the carving and what I was going to do on the log. And a lot of times with projects in watercolor, whether you're painting or whether you're working on something like this carving, you get to a point where your original design isn't working and you have to make some adjustments. And so I had to do that with this log. I bought this planer in a store a little while ago, and then I thought, you know what, I think this would be really nice for flattening out the other side of the log where I wanted to put our name. And so I gave that a try to see how that would work, and seemed to do a pretty good job. So I transferred the lettering onto the piece of wood, and then with a wood burning tool that I got probably in elementary school, I ended up putting the lettering on this log. And there's probably a quicker way to do it, but I did not know a quicker way, so this is the way I did it. One of my favorite podcasts that I like to listen to is Giuseppe Castellano's The Illustration Department. And he had an artist on his podcast, Chris Houghton, and he gave a couple of quotes by Aristotle. The things we have to learn before we can do, we learn by doing. It's very interesting. Sometimes you just have to dive in and start something to actually learn how to do it. And there were several things that I learned from cutting this big, larger carving of wood. I found a better tool than the chainsaw. The little carver that I used was much more controlled than a chainsaw and worked better for me. That's one of the things I found out. And another thing, I started sanding it by hand, and I love when wood gets that nice smooth finish on it. But it was going to take me a long time. And so I realized that on the end of my carver, I also had like some sanding discs that I could use. And so when I put the sandpaper on the end of the sanding disc and started using that on the wood, it went so much faster and made the task much easier. But there was one thing I learned about the sanding disc. So I just started sanding away with my sanding disc, and it was going so quickly and so nicely, and I thought, I'm going to be able to sand this whole totem pole like today. I can finish it. It's not going to take me a week or longer to finish it. But as I got going, I wore down the sandpaper, the Velcro underneath, and the rubber pad. And so I had to order a new one of those. I did try, there was a little bit of Velcro on it, and I thought, well, maybe I can just, the sandpaper will still stick onto it, but no, it went flipping off into the bushes, so that wasn't going to work for me. So here's the quote again. The things we have to learn before we can do, we learn by doing. So there's a balance between education and just diving into something, and probably it's a combination of the two that works best. But diving into this carving, one thing, I didn't know it was going to be this tall. So tell me, do you like being back here in the mountains where you started out? Inspiration comes to an artist from unexpected places.
Here's the turtle.